Welcome back in after an extremely long break to the Dynasty Dumpster Fire podcast. This is your host, Tanner or TK, and I'm joined once again by my good friend and co host, Marty. Marty, how have you been after this long break that we took?
Good, good. How are you doing? Welcome back. I can't complain, man. Can't complain one bit.
Yeah, the life catches up to us and been very busy, so we've kind of been dropping the ball about recording and things. But seeing as that we're getting back into the exciting times of the NFL, we thought it would be a good opportunity to jump back in and begin putting some episodes out again a little bit more regularly. So we are recording this on Saturday, the 27th, which is the we've now been through 2 days and three rounds of the NFL draft to this point. So the idea is that we were going to go through and just kind of talk and analyze and give our perspectives on some of the fantasy relevant selections through the first two rounds of the draft. What we think some of the fantasy outcomes will be, make some predictions, and just kind of chat and go through the some of the picks in the first couple rounds. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we will start with the top of the draft here with the oh, that's not the top of the draft. Give me just a second. With the top of round one, all the way up here with what is no surprise to most NFL fans that have been paying attention, Caleb Williams. We don't have to spend too long on it, but do you have any thoughts on Caleb at the top of the first, Marty?
I mean, like you said, it was a no-brainer. He has a lot potential. I mean, he's in a great position to succeed. Um, I'm not going to jinx it, but everybody has their own personal opinion. I think he should do well, and for fantasy relevancy, he is obviously, your number one or your number two pick in the rookie redraft. In a startup draft, I think I would have him a little further back, maybe. I would have him at the end of the first at least, or maybe even at the beginning of the second. I mean, it comes down ultimately to what the dynasty format is on, especially if there's a tight end premium to consider as well.
Yeah, I don't think he'll go. So he'll definitely start creeping up into the top of the or the back of the first. Just because of, and that's just based on the hype that he has. Last season wasn't great at USC, but if you look at his tape and his accolades from 2020, the previous year before that, they were actually fantastic. And I think that was enough to prop him up his Heisman season um, to, to just lock him into that 101 spot. So I know it's early, just for a little bit of fun. Well, we'll do this after we talk about the other quarterbacks. I want our quick end of April, beginning of May quarterback dynasty rankings. I want us to go through that here in a second, just maybe like the top 12 or so and see where these guys slot in. But moving on to second pick, and I'll let you talk a little bit about this too. Being a Commanders fan, we have Jaden Daniels, which again was the betting favorite out of LSU, the quarterback out of LSU. And I know that you're a fan of him. So what are your thoughts on Jaden at
I
the
mean, I'm
102?
excited. He's mobile. He has legs. It's nice to see that we have a running core. Hopefully, we can get the protection he really needs to be successful. I really would hate to, just undo our progress and work and create another Samuel Howell. I really enjoyed Howell. I have no frustration with him. It's a bummer it didn't work out. But now we have to move on, and now it's Daniel's turn. So, um, his tape spoke volume. He's much older, which I assume would be he's more mature. I mean, he's been in college for a long time. I mean, if you look back at his freshman tape, he was throwing passes to AU back at Arizona State. So, I mean, he's seasoned, and I'm hoping that translates into a mild temperament and a mature take on the game. Kind of like how Hal demonstrated. Like he was very quiet on the media. He didn't really throw people under the bus. I'm just hoping that for better times in DC.
Yeah, no, this is definitely it's looking up, dude. The Commanders had a great draft in my opinion. I think they did everything correctly, and looking at and kind of analyzing and going through my the tape and the highlights and things that I was looking at since we talked last, I actually am. I think I'm with you on Jaden over May. It's close. I see why some people would have preferred May because we talked about that a little bit earlier. But I do think the mobility that Daniels has is what really sets him apart. Everybody's calling him Baby Lamar, so we'll see. We'll see if that actually pans out. But again, a lot of that's going to come from you guys' line as well.
Yes, yes, and it panned out pretty well in Baltimore. So who knows? Maybe we might have our own little runner as well.
And his situation's not too bad either. He's got some weapons, not the best, but he's got Terry McLaurin, who's your perennial 1,000-yard guy, and he's got Dotson and Ertz, and you got some other weapons. Running back room is pretty steady. So, um, yeah, I think that was definitely a solid pick, and I think you should have a lot of reason to be excited.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Um, and then the moving on to pick three here. We're just going to talk about fantasy relevant players, but which is going to take a little bit because there was quite a few of them in this draft. Um, we saw more chalk with the Patriots sticking and picking Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina. I'm a fan of Drake May. Just his size and athleticism and his arm talent, I think, uh, should propel him pretty high, which it did. In last year's class, he would have been. I think any of these three guys would have been the 101 probably in last year's class, which just says how good this class is. Um, the unfortunate reality of his landing spot, though, is that he is going to a team that is pretty destitute in terms of weapons. Um, Pop Douglas is your top target, I guess. And that's kind of scary for a young quarterback that might need a little bit of development. New coaching staff, lots of new stuff happening in New England. But um, I like the player. I'm a little bit worried in terms of fantasy about the situation, though.
No, I don't disagree. It reminds me a lot of what's going on last year with Carolina. They're in the
Agreed.
rebuild process. Um, the difference is, in Carolina he had Andy Dalton. Here you have Jacoby Brissett. Do they stand apart differently? I do believe so. I mean, Jacoby has been that bridge quarterback for multiple franchises, and he knows what it takes to get the job done. I'm not saying Andy Dalton didn't, but I felt like he was on the later end of his career, well into retirement, and I just felt like the relevancy was not. I mean, he can connect, but I just didn't feel like it was as recent of a connection. I mean,
Yeah.
Jacoby literally just came from Washington, and although he wasn't able to stay healthy near the bitter end of it, he did do enough to make a point.
You think Jacoby starts at first?
To start off the season, yes.
I would sit May, yeah, to start.
But if he wins the job in training camp, I say we start. I mean, wouldn't be surprised if Mayo starts him. I'm surprised, like you said, they kept the pick. I really thought they were going to trade it.
I know. And they could have, if they could have moved back, like they could have moved back with the Giants or something like that, picked up, or even back a little bit further. I'm trying to think of other quarterback needy teams. It probably would have had to been the Giants or the Vikings. If they would have moved back and picked up a slew of picks, I think it could have worked out because they still would have been able to get a guy and been able to load up with some more weapons than they were able to. So I agree with that.
But yeah, but let me ask this question: Is May compared to Penix, McCarthy, Nix? I feel like it's not even like the same area. Like they're not even the same circle.
McCarthy would be the closest, but I agree he's definitely in that. It's definitely the tier of those. If we were to tier it out, it would be Caleb by himself. It'd be Daniels and May in a tier. Daniels at the top, in my opinion, and then I think you're right. And then I think you could slide McCarthy into that second tier as well. But that's just my opinion. And I think the rest of the guys you're right are not even on the same stratosphere. So if you do want that guy, they did need to stay there. And I do like the selection. We just got to see how they develop him and how much time they actually give him. So
Amen. Amen.
um, moving forward, again, sticking with chalk, we have the first non-quarterback off the board. We have Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver from Ohio State. Everyone expected him to go to Arizona. Arizona, from what I have read, didn't even consider trading back or moving because they feel that they couldn't, they're getting kind of a perennial, generational prospect at receiver, which I do agree. So I like the pick. They needed a wide receiver one, and I think him and Kyler and McBride have the potential to be sleepers next year in the league.
100%. But I do feel like this does hurt McBride's stock. Um, but I like him. I don't know if Neighbors is better than him. I can't answer that.
I don't think so.
That discussion. I know people say Neighbors over Harrison and vice versa. Harrison over Neighbors. For me, I like him. I saw him in college. He was great at Ohio. I have no complaints. He comes from a wonderful core wide receiver, and he's going to do great. He's going to do good things as long as Kyler can stay healthy. I see no issues.
Uh, do you know him, Olave, Wilson, and
JSN, they all play together,
yeah, they were all on the team at the same time.
and they had Stroud at one point too. Remember?
Yeah, it was all of them. And they still
It's
didn't win.
ridiculous, ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, so Marvin Harrison, I think he's going to step in right away and be a contributor. I think he's going to be, um, I think he's going to be one of those rookies that you can count
101
on
in
for
a rookie
fantasy.
redraft.
Yeah,
101 or 102.
yeah, I still think in Superflex it's got to be Caleb just because of positional scarcity. But yeah, I wouldn't fault anybody for taking him ahead of them. And in one quarterback, it's definitely Marvin at the top. We'll skip over Joe Alt,
What you
best
mean?
lineman in the
Harbaugh said he was
draft.
a offensive is an offensive weapon.
Best lineman in the draft. It kind of speaks to what the Chargers want to do. They do end up getting a weapon later, which we will talk about. But yeah, solid pick for the Chargers. And then the Giants, again, this is through these first 7 picks. It basically went exactly how everybody thought it would go. Giants take wide receiver from LSU, Malik Neighbors. If Marvin wasn't in this class, Neighbors would have been at the top by himself in most other classes because of how good he is. And we have a new long-awaited number 1 in New York again, the best since OBJ.
Odell. Yep.
Yeah, so good pick.
Oh yeah,
He should see a 25% target share next year, don't you think?
Oh yeah, no, I watched this pick live. I was as a Daniel Jones owner, I was kind of curious. I have faith that he's going to start. Will he stay healthy? I have no clue. But for my dynasty format in one of my leagues, I needed somebody reliable because they don't have that. And this was actually pretty exciting. They have a lot of discussion about his personal lifestyle, I've heard, but I don't really know what that really means. Like maybe he's he's a recluse. I don't know, but I mean, regardless, if he can keep his antics to a minimum and play the game like he's supposed to, I see this being a win-win for the city and for the quarterbacks, whoever's throwing the ball.
Yeah, they needed it. And he's for fantasy purposes.
Oh, he's up there. He's gonna be like an easy 103 or 104 for me.
He's gonna be he's gonna be going somewhere where there's no one else, dude. I mean, he's gonna just gobble up those targets, I imagine.
I mean, look at him. After that goes to
Wandale.
Rome. No. You go to not Wandale. I'm talking about just looking at the wide receiver draft. I mean,
Oh,
you got Harrison, you got Neighbors, and you got Odunze. Between those three, I feel like Neighbors and Harrison are right neck to neck. I feel like, and then Odunze is
yeah.
like you could literally put in some veteran players between him and these two guys.
Yeah, because of landing spot, and we'll get to him
So
in
let
a
me ask
second,
you
but we
one
can't
quick
skip over
question, though.
107. Go ahead.
Let me ask you one quick question before we go to because you mean the 108?
Yeah, 108. My apologies.
Sorry, no, you're good. Uh, CD Lamb, his proficiency, he's productive with the Cowboys. Do you see the same with Marvin Harris, or do you see that more with Neighbors? That type of productivity, and we haven't seen it yet with
In year
Wilson.
1?
Maybe by year 2. It takes some time for rookies to really solidify.
Oh, well, I mean, I think the way that Harrison, his prospect profile projects that he would be, I mean, he could be on the same level as
Are you
as
thinking?
JJ and Chase. I'm thinking he's
Are you think it's even
maybe not
higher?
right away, but
Okay,
eventually, it's possible.
I don't know.
It depends. That landing spot's nice. And Kyler, as much as people like to talk about him, is a very proficient quarterback in my opinion. So
He's accurate.
I do like it. I definitely like the pick. Neighbors, I think, is going to be more. I mean, he's a talented receiver too. His is going to be based on volume. His situation is just not as good though. He'll get a lot of volume, but Daniel Jones is not Kyler.
So who's going to get more points then this freshman
Fantasy,
season? Yeah,
that's
fantasies.
that's
Neighbors or
going to
Harrison?
be. Um, I mean, that's going to be interesting. I actually don't have any idea, to be honest. I would still say Harrison just because of he's the alpha in his room too.
Okay.
But I can see an argument for I could see Neighbors finishing as the best receiver points wise in the class. So
Word. All right, we shall
um,
continue to your favorite 108.
Yeah, so without, I mean, everybody's talked about this. I don't want to go too long about this. This pick is garbage in my opinion, and I think that I don't know. I don't. I see they wanted to do the whole Jordan Love thing with Michael Penix. The problem with that is Michael Penix is old,
Hmm.
and Kirk. I mean, Kirk hasn't even played a game with that team yet, and they're doing stuff like that. I just think that they kind of screwed their quarterback room up. Um,
Hmm.
and they made Kirk mad. Penix doesn't get to play, and they
Let
spent
him
a
cook.
top 8 pick on him.
Let him cook.
Who, Penix?
No, Kurt.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they have to play him. They paid him too much money. Like Penix will not start for these 2 years
It's
unless
just
with barring injury.
yep. I mean, unless he tears his other Achilles, then he's going on the field. But the thing is, they picked the most beat up quarterback in the damn draft. This guy's had two ACL injuries and then two shoulder injuries. Yeah, he's done well at all schools he played at, and he's very, very athletic. But he is injury prone, and you have two injury prone quarterbacks in the same locker room. And to be frank, I mean, like you said, he's older. He's 25. Jordan Love, when he got a start, he was about his age, 24, 25. By the time he gets a start, he'll be close to 30.
It'll be
I'm
26 or
just I'm being
27.
serious. I mean, like, what
But
what logic does this make?
it doesn't. And the problem also, like, if you were going to do that, why not take McCarthy, though? He's like the perfect quarterback for that. Like, if you were going to do that, take the younger guy that could use some development time and sit him behind Cousins, and that makes more sense. But Penix is like is a guy that, I mean, that would make more sense if they were ready to start him day one, and they're
Unless they're
not.
thinking about shipping off Kurt later down the year after they can showcase some more.
He's got a no trade clause for 2 years for his
But that's
entire
what I'm saying.
contract.
Ah, man, never mind.
It doesn't
Um,
make any sense.
well, let's shout out mad respect to Michael Penix. You went to college, you got your degree, you're leaving out here with a backup job. So kudos to you for collecting your bag. I'm
He's
being
going
serious.
to, he's going to
Dude,
make a
who
lot of money to
who
sit on the
the hell
bench.
doesn't want to have a job like that? Literally, you go into work, you do your practice, you do your scrimmage, you sit on the sideline and you just watch. And then that's it. You do that for a couple of years, and then you get the shit beaten out of you when it's finally your turn.
I just feel like
I
they
mean,
could have used that for some like they could be with how many weapons that team has, like they should have used that for something else.
they easily could have added another weapon. They could have even
Or to
added
help on the
but
defense.
they could have gotten Doomsday if they wanted that. But I guess they didn't
Oh my
see
god, that would
something
have been
in him.
sick.
That would have been sick, but they didn't want that. Imagine you got Pitts, you got oh my goodness, I'm blanking right now.
London.
What's the London? Thank you. And then you get a Doomsday. That would have. The thing is, they traded for Mooney and the kid from the Cardinals. What was his name?
Rondo.
Rondale. Thank you, Rondale Moore.
Yeah, that I don't know, man. It doesn't
And
make
then
any
you also
sense to
got the
me.
running back room with Bijan Robinson, which was their highest pick.
No, they're gonna be good. In terms of fantasy implications, it doesn't hurt or help the weapons because they needed
Oh,
one quarterback that can air it out. Now they have two. So
here's one question. What if they I don't know. It still doesn't make any sense. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Like the videos of him just explaining it to the owner speaks volumes to me.
yeah, Arthur Blank didn't seem like he knew what was going
No
on,
pun
did
intended. I was pretty much drawing blanks too.
he? So, not doesn't make sense to me. And then
Hey, but
that
they see
also led,
something in him though. They see something in him that no one else saw, and that's why JJ McCarthy went 10th.
yeah, and that just, I mean, it got even crazier, and I think they also influenced the Broncos at 12, but we'll talk about them here in a second.
Saturation, man. All right,
Oh my,
number 9.
Rome Odunze, wide receiver, Washington, Chicago Bears. Chicago, as a Chicago Bears, if you're a Chicago Bears fan, you should be pumped, right? Your team is, I mean, you went from having nothing to having, I mean,
But you
that's
still
damn
got to
near a top
protect
10
your
offense in the
quarterback.
NFC, huh?
You got to protect your quarterback.
Yeah, and their line's not it's not awful, but they could have used that on alignment too. We'll have to look. I have to see. I don't know if they drafted alignment later, and we'll look. Odunze, in terms of fantasy purposes, that's a bad landing spot for him, though, in my opinion, because it's gonna be similar to what JSN had to deal with last year.
No, worse, way worse.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be the same
Because
kind
at
of
least
problem, though.
JSN overtook took what's his name? Tyler no, not
Lockett.
Tyler. Lockett. Thank you. It was Tyler Lockett. And he's now 3, but still. I mean, this is like just as bad as Alex Pierce situation. He came in and never left the wide receiver 3 role essentially.
Well, now he's even lower, but we'll get to
I mean,
that.
he's 4, but
Yeah. So you're gonna have to wait on Odunze. Keenan
do you
Allen's
pick him?
old,
Do you pick
but
him in the first round? in the rookie redraft.
Oh
Obviously,
yeah, he'll go
he's deep.
106 or 7,
He's
8.
deep in a root startup.
Yeah.
You really
Um,
picking him up that early, the
well,
107,
he's gonna.
108?
I mean, if you want him, you have to. I don't think.
I feel like Quentin Johnson's gonna get more production than
Oh
Odunze will
no,
in the first 2, 3 years.
they're not even in the same. Odunze's a great prospect. He's going
Yeah,
to
but
score.
what is he gonna be able to show? He has Kemet, he has Keenan Allen, he has DJ Moore, and they got Swift. Remember, they said Swift is not a running back; he's another receiver. Too many hands to feed.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't like. I wouldn't. I mean, I
I'm
have the
just being
107
curious,
in
man.
another
Like, I mean,
league.
like, I feel like his value and stock is saturated because of the offense he's on. But if you look at the production, it's gonna tank.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have value because he's the prospect he is, but he's not going to produce right away. That's for sure. I agree there. I have the 107 in another league, and I'm going to target.
Odunze,
No, I'm going to target McCarthy because
I
I need
love
a
that.
third quarterback.
I like
But
that.
and if not him, I'll go for. I think I'd honest man. I think you still have to take Odunze, but I'd be tempted to take Brian Thomas over him, which we'll get
Okay,
to in a
that's fair.
second.
I
Um,
respect that. But we're going deep down the draft now.
well, Brian Thomas, he's first round receiver still. So
Well, yeah, but
JJ
he's yeah,
McCarthy,
keep going.
JJ McCarthy, great landing spot. Minnesota needed that desperately,
When
and I
does he
think
start?
I don't
He
know.
doesn't start week 1, does he?
I don't think so. But he can sit behind Darnold because Darnold's competent, and that is the best. That's the best situation a rookie receiver could go to, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What room is loaded with weapons. I mean, you
They
got the
got
best
three
receiver in football.
fabulous, and they got an old
Um,
running back who knows what to do.
yeah, I forgot they signed Aaron Jones too.
Yeah, and he's
Um,
confident. He knows exactly what to do.
so yeah, JJ McCarthy, great. Um, definitely solidified himself as I think.
Where do you pick him in the rookie redraft? How high is he?
Well,
Higher than Rome, or is he
I
behind Rome?
he's hired. Well, it depends on your quarterback need. If it's super flex, I'd probably take him over Odunze, and then I would take him over May. Just
I
because
like
the
that.
landing spot, I like May better, but the landing spot's bad.
I mean, you're
And
looking for
I'd
points.
slot him in right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I could see McCarthy as early as 105
I respect that. No, I do. I could see that totally.
because Caleb, Marv, Daniels, Neighbors, and then I mean McCarthy, right? So yeah. So yeah, great situation and happy for him. That worked out nicely. What do you think at 12? Bo Nix.
I mean, he gets a chance. I mean, I respect to him, really do. I respect. I mean, he has a chance. He really does. So, I mean, the quarterback got four atrocious court. And I mean, I shouldn't be rude, but um, they got four quarterbacks who really don't distinguish themselves, and there's nothing really different between the four of them. You got Danucci, you got Stidham, you got Bill Nix, and then what's the fourth guy? Come on, I'm blanking on him.
I don't know who. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Zach Wilson. Sorry, I don't
Oh, I
know why I
forgot about
forgot.
him.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. That's the fourth one. So you got Zach Wilson, Bo Nixon,
They'll cut one of them.
Jared Stickham, and Ben DiNucci, right? So
Yeah, Jared
obviously you're
Stidham.
not cutting Zach Wilson. You're going to keep him. So DiNucci's probably going to be the one cut, or
Yeah,
Stidham.
Stidham
But
can be the third string.
but he also could be the starter for week 1. Like, who knows? Like, it's one of the guys, either Bo Nix or Zach Wilson, is going to be not the franchise quarterback, but the bridge quarterback. Like, Stidham is just going to be the week 1 starter until somebody's competent or
Well,
ready to roll.
you don't take a. I mean, they hope he's the franchise. I mean, if you're taking him at 12, you're not drafting him to be a bridge. Now, I
They
don't know. He wasn't even graded as a first round quarterback
Zach
by a lot of
Wilson.
people.
Zach Wilson was number 2, and he's a big bust.
No, I know, but you don't draft him with that intention. I agree, though. I'm not saying he's going to be, but I'm saying that's what they're hoping. They have to. Bo Nix is older too, so
Yeah,
he doesn't
but
have a lot of time to wait.
I don't know. I
It
feel
doesn't make sense.
indifferent. I don't see him as a franchise quarterback. I just see him as another quarterback they're gonna just rotate through.
Well, it was a reach. I mean, but the thing is, you spend the 12th pick on him, you have to. I mean, they're gonna have to see what he is.
They spent the
He's
eighth
good.
on Penix.
He's good, but I don't think
Yeah.
he's. But yeah, no, but they don't have
What?
a Kirk Cousins on their roster though. It's different.
No,
Like they
they
don't have a
don't.
guy
I
that's
get.
better.
All right. I see what you're saying.
But it just depends. I mean, he'll get a chance. I don't know if he's going to be good though. That I
True.
mean that offense is pretty garbage too, to be honest.
Hey, good value to Javonte Williams. It means they're gonna have to run the damn ball.
Yeah, and Jaleel has the two.
Yes, those guys are gonna be eating, and then even the third guy, P Ryan, will get some yards.
Because I think they're going to trade Sutton maybe.
I heard I heard they're not trying to. I heard they're trying to keep him for the year.
Well, what was weird to me is, did you see their uniform reveal? He
What? Yeah, I
wasn't.
saw
He's
that.
not.
It
He
looked kind
wasn't.
of.
Why wasn't he in any of that? He's their best
Well, he
player.
didn't report. He didn't report to whatever. You
I
remember?
know, but for their media stuff, it just seemed kind of weird. And why isn't he reporting? Because he wants a contract. Then I mean, are they going to
Correct.
pay him what he wants? I
No,
wouldn't.
this is the Broncos, and nobody else will either.
Because remember, they shipped Judy off.
They did, but Judy got his money.
They're decrepit, dude.
Who?
That
The
offense is
Browns
bad. That's
or?
actually a
Uh,
terrible situation.
well, I don't know. I mean, it gives Bo Nixon an opportunity if he can connect with that tight end there. If that guy can stay healthy, what's his name again? The
Dolchich.
young. Yes. If he can stay healthy, then he has a chance. At least they have somebody reliable, and they have the other young kid who everybody talked great values
Mims.
of. Yes, Mims. Yes.
Um, yeah, remember Reedy moved a second for him in our league. So I just
I'm not.
remembered that the other day.
I'm not big on that, but anyway, let's
Yeah,
go to our
but
famous Brock. Unless you have something to say about Bo Nix,
no, Bo Nix he'll go into the first in rookie drafts just because of draft capital,
Brock
and being
Bowers
a
not.
quarterback.
I'm upset about that because of Michael May. Like I just didn't like that move at all. I think he
No,
should have. I think like his situation could have been so much better if he went to a team. Even if he went to the Jets, it would have been ridiculous. Like imagine that would have been amazing if he went there. But they're protecting Aaron Rodgers, and I respect what they did there. I totally get that. But
yeah,
I liked him. I thought he was going to be the next Laporta, but he didn't end up in the position to be the Laporta. I think it's gonna. You don't even have a distinguished QB1 in Raiders. Like
it's got to be
I don't
Minshew
know,
now.
but they're saying it's going to be the other dude, O'Connell. That's what all these
Yeah,
mocks are saying.
yeah. I think what I think that ended up being is they didn't expect him to be there, and then he was just such a good prospect that
You don't
they
have.
just felt like they had to take him.
You could trade him later down the road, but
Where do you take him in a tight end premium rookie draft?
oh, dude, you're picking
Superflex.
him before you get to 110. You're
Yeah,
picking him
yeah.
way before 110. But I wouldn't pick him before the 104 though. I'd pick him
Oh
some
no.
place after either the 105 or 106. In a tight end premium, depending how premium that league is, because I know you can double that stuff up.
Yeah,
Um, if it's really up there, you're going to pick him before the 106. But if
you
he can
won't.
connect with Minshew or O'Connell, that's going to be amazing. Like him and Adams can evenly spread the workload fairly. And
And
I
Myers
think
can
that
get some work too.
well, Myers is there, and he's always eats where the other players can't eat, so they all know how to
Yeah.
share. And they don't have Josh Jacobs anymore, so Zamir White is gonna. It's his season now. Like that is clear. Like he is the running back one.
Well, we got to
This
see what they
draft,
do today. But yeah, no, I mean he's
dude,
definitely they didn't
do you
draft.
think
There's yeah,
if they didn't
I agree.
draft high enough that Zamir
Yeah,
White is gonna eat?
yeah. I mean they might bring
Zamir
in
White is
competition, but
eat.
it's definitely he's probably going to get a crack at it. So yeah.
Oh yeah, he's gonna start off. He'll
Um.
have a better shot than Madison did at the. He's gonna do much better than Madison because they
Wait,
got him
no,
on
they
deck.
signed Madison.
I know, but who's you gonna start, White or Madison?
I just forgot they signed Madison though. To
Yeah,
be
they
honest,
did.
but Mayer's dead at that. That basically kills Mayer, right? I
Yeah,
think
Mayers
just
is buried. If you want to grab him, be my guest. But I don't see no value of holding a guy like unless you need him on your taxi. But I wouldn't pay. I'd pay like a third for him graciously, maybe even a
yeah,
fourth now at this point.
just in case they use two tight end sets and he could be something. But yeah, that sucks though for him because
I mean,
they're not
Mayers
on the same level as
would have to be the
prospects.
blocker this
Yeah.
time out.
Um, Pick 23. So I really liked what the Jags did in this draft.
Oh
And
yeah, that
we'll
was a
go
good one.
quickly through round two. But I like what they did here. They traded back. They accrued assets. I think they got 3 picks. I think 2 next year and 1 in a later round. I think maybe in today's rounds. And then they still got um, a top 6 receiver in the top 5,
Oh,
depending. I mean, who
God bless his parents.
in Brian Thomas.
I love his mom's the interview with his parents. You saw that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Tell us
Awesome.
how far your family came from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Mhm.
I'm
I
sorry,
think
but you go ahead.
I think his I think I like his situation, to be honest, with
I
Ridley
mean,
gone
he should be able to overtake Gabe Davis and be wide receiver two
and
easily.
Kirk.
No, I don't think he's going to take over Kurt year one, but
Uh,
I think
yeah, probably not.
year two, year three, he will be wide receiver one. Kirk will get injured. He's shown us time and time again he always gets injured in the season. So when that injury comes, that would be Brian Thomas's moment to really show what he has. But I don't expect Gabe Davis to compete to the level that Brian Thomas can. I mean, he showed us what he can do at LSU. He was outstanding.
Yeah, I like him. And I think to even be able to to do all of this with neighbors on your team, I think is very impressive. And I think, I mean, Ridley had 1,000 yards last year, and he didn't even look good. I think Thomas is going to do really well. I'm taking Thomas, and that's just me. I'm taking Thomas over. I'm definitely taking Thomas over Bowers. I'm taking Thomas over, and I'm thinking about it with Odunze, but I don't think you're there. You said,
I would take him over Odunze. Like I told you, Odunze's buried for a year, two, three. I mean, Keenan Allen's going to be there for some time, and so will DJ Moore. So he's just buried, and I don't like that. Yeah, he could overtake Kemet, but
yeah,
you still got two other alphas you got to overtake.
yeah. So
Um, but yeah, no.
good move for the Jags.
Of course.
Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver from Florida at 31 to the Niners. You got any thoughts there?
I was hoping they were gonna ship off Debo or Ayuk, but he too's a little buried. You got Christian McCaffrey, you got Kittle, I mean, you got McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle, and then maybe Kittle's the last. But I mean, tell me the ranking is McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, and then Kittle. Is that the Eden order,
They
or they all
switch.
rotate?
They
Like
they rotate.
McCaffrey's
The
never
only one
been
who always
dropped
gets
though.
his is McCaffrey.
Yeah, but still, like he's buried now.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, he's like a. I mean, they're going to use him as I think they're going to use him as like a gadget guy or maybe like a special teams guy at
But
first. But I still
Debo's
think
a
they might
gadget
trade one
guy
of those
though.
guys.
They need to trade. If they trade one of them, then his stock's gonna fly. But for right now, if I'm drafting him, I have to trust my gut on this one. This is a gamble.
Yeah, mid second. I'd be okay with that.
Oh yeah,
Mid
mid second easy.
205,
But
6.
I'm
I'd take
not picking him
him.
in the first round.
No, he won't. He'll be go early to mid second. I think
And
based
that
on
applies
mocks.
to Leglet too.
And remember, we'll have some data next week, next episode to go off of because we'll actually have a rookie draft. So we'll see where some of these guys go, which will be interesting. And then the Panthers
Oh,
trade up
we
to.
skipped one, dude. You skip Xavier Worthy in
Oh, how could
28.
we? Yeah, my bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
was the Buffalo trade with Kansas City. I was like, wait a second, we skipped somebody.
Yeah, you saw Xavier. You're like, wait, what about the other one?
Well,
So
I
yeah,
was thinking, I thought the Kansas. I remember, I was like, Kansas sure drafted, didn't draft last. That's
yeah, we
why.
have to talk about that one because that's a
That
big
one's
one.
big, dude. I don't know, man. Rasheed Rice, we don't really understand what's going to happen to the content of like what is that punishment going to be. He's really going to hurt Marquise Brown's stock. Um, it I love it. I think it's good. He's done great. The only concern for me is that frame. They do talk about how small he is. So if he can't keep his composure and he keeps getting pushed off and off and off and off, like by the
You're talking about
secondary,
Marquise, right?
Marquise, I see Xavier Worthy being the long guy now. I see Marquise being because he's older now. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel
Worthy's
like he.
not huge. Yeah, 5'11".
I don't know. I feel like Worthy's gonna be running the slots. Don't you think?
Yeah, that's true. He's not a big body guy. So what is he? What are they going to do with him? He's
If he can't keep his
5'11",
balance, he's just
170.
another Kadarius Toney dude. That's all it is.
What's going
He
to
had
help
some.
him though is the touchdown equity that he's going to be able to get is going to help him. Even if he doesn't bring in the yards,
Dude, he
he's going to
doesn't
score
have that
touchdowns.
Bryce frame, but Bryce had the body. He's able to keep his balance and he
Yeah,
can hold the ball. Like if Worthy
but
can't do that,
it's Mahomes though. He'll find anybody.
yes, but the receivers also have to hold them. Like we saw what happened with what's his name? He's no longer on the team. Lord. He dropped a couple He dropped a couple balls in the Super Bowl. Um, I'm blanking on his name.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he was not the guy who bounced from the Jets to the Chiefs. The other guy. Um, I can't think of his name, but you know what I'm talking about though.
Hardman,
Hardman. No, not him. The other guy.
not Mecole
Um,
Hardman. Oh, anyways, regardless, doesn't matter.
anyways, yeah, I'll figure it out here in a second.
No,
But
yeah, I
continue.
know what you're talking about. I can't think of him anyways, to be honest. So yeah, Xavier Worthy, I like the pick. I forgot about him. He's going to go first round. I think. I think he's going to sneak into the late first on rookie drafts too. Just because of where he went. So, when you think of that guy's name, just let me know. But real quickly, Xavier Legette.
Scandley, Valdez Scandley.
Yeah, MBS. Thank you.
Thank you. That's what it is.
Xavier Legette. The Panthers trade up into the first round. Some people might think that was weird that they traded up one pick. I know why they did it. It's because, first of all, number one, Buffalo could have drafted him. I doubt they would have. But number two is they get the option for the fifth round option now, or the fifth year option. So it makes sense, I guess, if they end up panning out, they do have that option since he's now a first rounder. Big body guy out of South Carolina, SEC guy, very similar to Mingo in a lot of ways. I do think he's a better prospect than Mingo, and we see that with his draft capital. And I do like what they're doing, what the Panthers are doing to try to help out Bryce. I mean, it's a different year this year for him in terms of what they brought in, and we'll talk about the running back they drafted later. But I mean, think about who they have now, right? Deontay, Thielen, Mingo could develop, and now Leggett. I think he's got at least a little bit of help now. So,
Oh yeah.
anything to add there?
No, like you
All right.
nailed it. I mean, like it's just another copy, but it's better to have, saturations of these sort of players on your team.
And I
I
think
feel
he's
like they're
better
going
than
to be
Mingo.
reliable.
Yeah.
Time will
Um,
tell, but I think Mingle can develop. I still have faith in him. I don't own him in any of my leagues, but I have faith. So
he could be a
second
buy
round,
low if you believe him. Believe in
that's
him.
true. That's true. But probably wouldn't pick him in the first round. I'm probably picking him in the mid second round to late.
Are you talking about Leggett?
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
if I'm
he'll go
taking him that high.
second. Although first round draft capital. Who I really like is Keon Coleman, man. Um, think about
He's
the
gonna.
workload that he's
Mhm.
stepping into it, and he is the first pick in the second round. Draft capital is there, and he's going to be. I mean, Josh Allen's first or second target, depending on what you think about Kincaid. So, you got thoughts on Coleman?
I mean, I feel like people are going to draft him in the first round in the rookie redrafts, but my thing is I'm hesitant on it because you already got some players that are already developing rapport. You got Shakir, who did decent there last year. You got Kincaid, who's done shown us, glimpse of hope. Um, he's going to be in
Curtis
the pecking
Samuel.
order somehow, either 2 or 3. I don't see him being number 1 year 1. And then if Samuel Curtis really connects like he's done with in many situations he's been with in the Panthers, Washington, and now Buffalo, then he too could ascend very fast as well. I mean, it's very interesting to see what happens here because there is no Diggs. I mean, like, and Diggs wasn't that guy either near the last half of last season.
We just know the volume will be there.
Oh yeah,
We know what Josh Allen can do, and the good thing about Coleman is even if he takes a couple years, he's 20 years old, so he's a
young,
young guy.
young.
I like him, man. I target. I'm going to target him in our rookie draft, but I don't know if he's going to make it to 204. I think he'll go early for second. So, but I do like him a lot. And then moving right on to the next pick, I also like this guy a
McConkey.
lot because he's stepping into a similar situation, although with a lot less volume, where he could take number one reps right off the bat. Lad McConkey, wide receiver out of Georgia. You got thoughts on him going to LA?
I see him being the gadget guy, and I see him helping maintain Herbert's value too, which is gonna be real nice. I don't see Herbert really going up into the top, 5 again, and
Yeah,
while Harbaugh is the coach, but I see him to being a sleeper in many formats. I see Herbert being one of those guys who's gonna pump out, 300, never 400 fantasy points, not in his current situation, but he could. He could. I mean, who knows? I mean,
definitely
I,
still
I
belongs
like
at
it.
the first of a startup.
I
Herbert.
like it. McConkey, I don't know. Oh, Herbert, of course, still.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Sorry.
McConkey, I feel like you're gonna probably find him in the second round of the
Yeah,
rookie draft.
early to mid seconds. That's why I'm saying those picks are so nice, dude.
Oh yeah,
There's
for
so
sure
many, so
early.
many guys.
I could see him very early. Same with Coleman, either in the late first or early second.
And this is, and we got a lot of offense in the beginning, and then it mostly turned into a defensive round. Jalen Polk, wide receiver out of Washington. Don't know too much about him.
Ditto.
Um, Going to be, I mean, it's going to help. Anything helps Drake May, though. So,
He has a
um,
chance to get some.
yeah.
I mean, he could be a sleeper. He could be an easy sleeper for all we know.
Yeah, the
There's
problem
no
is I'm sure
distinguished wide receiver one there.
he got overshadowed by Odunze. Um, so moving on, not a lot to look at. Jonathan Brooks, running back one, taken off the board by the Carolina Panthers. He steps into what should be a pretty decent workload considering the competition. You do have to take into account his injury that he suffered towards the end of or middle to the end of this college football season last year. So he might be coming back off of that knee
But it
injury.
shows them, yeah. But it shows them they
But
have faith in Chuba, though.
yeah, I mean it's going to be him and Hubbard. And what about Sanders though? I forgot about him.
He fell off, man, but they'll cut him and they'll save some capita. But I mean, they might keep him for a year. Who knows? Because he could be a good vet to help continue mentor these
Hmm.
guys.
And the Panthers beefed up their line. I mean, they signed the best offensive lineman in free agency. Don't forget about that with
It's
Robert
true.
Hunt.
It's true. True.
So I
True.
mean, they should be better in theory. I do. I don't hate what the Panthers did. I like taking that running back. I mean, he's the running back one of the class in terms of draft capital. Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver from Texas, the big bodied guy. There's some concerns with things like attitude that I've been looking at and hearing about. But he goes to the Colts in the middle of the second. So what do you think the fantasy implications are there? Because I basically
Well,
think that he just supersedes Alec Pierce and then inserts himself into that 3-man rotation. So
I agree. I mean, Alex Pierce could start off the season there, but he would definitely be pushed down the ranks. I don't. I mean, he could overtake Downs. It comes down ultimately to because Downs was never a big guy, and that was the one hinder compared to him and Pittman. And who knows, he might be the future. I mean, if he can, like I said earlier with neighbors, I mean, if he can keep the antics to a minimum and do his job and keep off, the news, I mean, you're gold, man. You're gold.
Yeah, I think Adonai. I think it'll be Adonai and Pittman on the outside, and I think it'll be Downs in the slot, and I think that's going to be your guys. So I think that helps. I mean, it helps.
A Rich
Richardson. Yep,
tremendously.
yep.
Hmm.
So don't hate it. He's got to keep his attitude clean, and I know he's diabetic also, which I heard has been causing some problems with scouting and things because of his.
Mm, I didn't
That's what
know
I've
that.
been hearing. So something to
Interesting.
think about. I
Hey,
don't know much about Ben's.
speaking about medical records, I know this is off script. I know
Yeah,
we've passed this.
you're good.
But Caleb
It's
Williams
fine.
never releasing his medical records. Do you think that have any implications on the judgment of the Bears?
No. I
Okay,
mean, he'll be all right. He doesn't have an extensive medical history if you look at his injury history. I think that was again just him trying to be. He was
different.
playing into that diva persona that I think he's just embracing the persona that media gives him a little bit, just
Oh
the way
well,
that
your
he is.
Panthers just picked up the tight end from Texas.
Oh,
Just
really?
now, they picked up Javante Sanders. Y'all picked
Oh,
up the
Jadavion Sanders?
Jave. Yeah,
Oh
sorry,
man, that's a great
Javion.
pick, but also
It is.
that basically kills your Tommy
Oh,
Tremble
you're
book,
right. It did keep my
dude.
Tommy Trumbull out of
We just
deal.
talked about that
Oh darn.
because
Oh
everybody,
Lord.
Jadavion Sanders is a pretty good prospect.
Damn. You're right. It
Yeah.
did just kill my theory there. Damn. It's what it is. But he is really. I liked him too. He's probably gonna be up there in the second round, late, even early, depending if you're in a premium.
That is true. That does bring in another because he's definitely a lot of people's tied into in the class. I don't know anything
Hmm.
about Ben Sinnott to the Commanders. Do you know anything about him? I don't even know
I
who he
don't
is.
know too much about him to be real,
No.
so I can't really speak. But they value him, and that puts Cole Turner and Zach Ertz in an interesting predicament. I mean,
Yeah. Um. So, real quick, Malachi Corley, he'll be the short yardage guy for the
yeah,
Jets. Good pickup.
Benson, exciting.
Yep. Trey Benson, he's not going to get work at first, but we know how they use these running backs. He'll be complimentary to James Conner, and then,
But
uh,
he's aging out. Connors is
yep.
aging out. He's going to be 29 or 28, something like
Hmm.
that.
Yep.
So, how old is Benson? Isn't he young, like 20 something?
I don't know, to be honest. I'll have to look. I think he's got to be pretty young. I mean,
I'm going to take a look over
let's
here.
check it out. He
Second
is
round.
21. So yeah, he's pretty young.
Oh, so that's gold, man. And that's like, for me, I just, him, I don't know, man. I just find him higher. I would place him higher than Brooks, dude. I'm just really sorry. Like, for some reason, I just like his situation. I really like
I
his
mean, he doesn't
situation.
have the injury, so I mean that's
Well,
fair.
it's
I
not
get it.
the injury. It's just it's one other guy you got to compete with.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I am okay with either one of them. I think they'll both be early to mid second picks, and I think they'll both be solid running back picks.
We're about to get to the guy I'm not excited about. I was really hoping he'd go somewhere else, but you
Jermaine.
skipped a tight end.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't know about. I don't know much.
Oh,
Jermaine Burton
sorry.
doesn't mean much. Tip
I don't know
Raymond
either.
doesn't
He's
mean
he's
much.
buried too, Burden.
Blake Corum to the Rams. You got anything to say there?
Dude, I feel bad for Kyron Williams, dynasty holders. I mean, that's he showed great. He did great this college season. I know he's overrated. I mean, he's like people really say he's overrated and everything, but I find him good. Like, he knows how to get the job done. He's a good runner and he's strong, and that's what you want. And they got two of them now, and I'm pretty worried if I'm Williams, because if Williams takes a bad hit and Corum picks up momentum, they're gonna riot.
Well, he's got the draft capital, so he's a day two pick. So he's got third. I mean, he's mid third round. And he's decent. I mean, he was a top. He's definitely a top 3 or 4 prospect in the class. I still think Kyron is the guy there just because of what he did last season. But this
Of course,
definitely doesn't. This definitely muddies it up a little bit. I agree with what you're saying there. Although that makes me pretty much not wanting to hold Corum in rookie drafts. I mean, I know you might feel differently because you like him.
I
But
did, but he didn't. I wanted him to go to the Chargers with Harbaugh. I wanted to see that
mhm.
reunion. That's what I wanted, but we didn't get that. And then we go to Wilson, the next Michigan player, who
That'll just
should
be
be
a guy
good.
that, yeah, he'll complement Pickens. And it'll help Pickens out a little bit in Fryermuth because they lost Deontay. I like that move for the Steelers, and I like that as a guy who has Pickens in a couple of leagues because I don't feel like that's going to be he's not going to overtake Pickens. He's not that
He
type of prospect,
shouldn't. He
but it
shouldn't.
helps. It helps. Marshawn Lloyd to the Packers. He's strictly handcuffed to Jacobs, so
Mm-hmm.
that might be somebody you should look at
Well, you have
in
to be
our
willing
league,
to
man.
hold him for a couple of years, though. And the thing is, depending
He's
on
your
your
handcuff.
format, yeah, but still, but
I'm
all right. No, I get it. I
I'm talking
get
about
it.
in the league you have Jacobs. You have the 208. I think he could be the guy you could look at, but
Oh, true, true, true. But what happened to Dylan? We forgetting about AJ Dillon?
oh gosh, whatever. He bothers me. Jalen McMillan, no, doesn't do anything for me in Tampa Bay. That's not a good situation. And then Luke McCaffrey to the Commanders. I mean,
If he
role player.
overtakes Dotson, he's wide receiver too. But that's really it. I mean, but
Yeah.
between him and Dotson, there isn't really is. I think Dotson has him, but he has an opportunity, and it could be cool to see another McCaffrey exploding. So there's your guy,
And then
Sanders.
Troy Franklin too went. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, he finally got picked by the Broncos. That should be good. He might overtake Mims. I would consider him in the mid second.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good situation. I mean, he's going to go right into getting a lot of work. So I think that's I think I think that's a good landing spot for him too. Yeah,
Isn't he
I
like a
agree.
big dude if I remember correctly?
Yeah. He was graded as definitely graded as a day two prospect. So I'm not him falling there is pretty good for them. So yeah, I think that both of those picks. He's a 6'2" guy, so he's pretty good. I like Jatavion Sanders, the pick by the Panthers. They need tight end help, big time, because they just have never had one. And then that ends with Troy Franklin. So,
Damn, Sanders blew my mind. Go ahead, sorry.
very cool, very cool draft so far. I've enjoyed talking about it with you, man. We had a lot to catch up on. We're going to start recording more regularly. We're going to cover our we're in one of our main leagues is having a rookie draft starting next
It's
week from
Friday, right?
yesterday. So we're going to probably record and look at what's
It'll
happened
be
in
on
that so
Friday,
far
right?
next week. It starts Friday, so a week from yesterday.
Yeah,
But
Friday.
so yeah, that's what we'll talk about next week. We'll try to record again and again, try to start recording more regularly. So thanks for sticking in with us. Apologize for the absence, Marty. It
Likewise,
was a good
likewise. We
time
look
today,
forward
man.
to our reunion again soon post draft. And Pop, quick question before we call it a day. Um, who's your biggest sleeper so far off the first 2 days of the draft? I know we just started at noon today on the Eastern time. Um, who's your rookie? Like,
Like
what's your
sleeper, as
biggest like?
in what do you mean?
Who's
Like
your player
the
you think is gonna be the biggest? Like, he's gonna be a boom this year.
you want me to plant my
Correct.
flag on
Right
a
now,
guy
with
that
no with just
people
with
are
our
mixed on?
minimal just understanding of
Um,
what we've seen so far. I got a guy.
Keon Coleman, I really like. I mean, I don't know if he counts as a deep enough sleeper. I like
I
Coleman
like
and
yep.
McConkey because I like their draft capital. They're
McConkey's my guy.
borderline
I
first
like him a
rounders,
lot.
and I like their workload.
McConkey's my guy.
Yeah, I think he's going to be good. And then in the talking a little bit later, um, yeah, I mean, I like Jatavion Sanders if you're in a tight end premium league, just because of the situation he's going into and the fact that Bryce Young needs a big target over the middle, um, as kind of a safety blanket. So I actually
No,
like that
no.
pick a
I
lot.
really like McConkey. For some reason I like that. It reminds me of a Hunter Renfro sort of situationship back when he was reliable. Yes, he was.
Yeah, but he was good that year. That
It
a
was out of
couple years
nowhere.
ago,
But
2 3
anyways,
years ago.
I appreciate it. And
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, appreciate your time, buddy. It was good talking. Keep in tune, guys. We'll start putting stuff out more regularly. If you're on Spotify, give us a rating. Apple Podcast, same thing. This episode will also be on YouTube, so feel free to subscribe. And we will catch you guys on the next episode. Peace out.